Harry's Wife, Part 104.17. Separation. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Repeatedly in the comments, there have been observations that Harry and Harry's wife are now separated. The source of this has come from Lady Colin Campbell's channel, where she said that she had news from on high that they had separated, but then went on to state that it was not information that could be relied upon, which then does rather beg the question, why on earth mention it in the first place? It is analogous to me saying, news has reached me from on high that Harry was caught with his pants down in the gardens at Monty Shit Show with a huge black mamba vibrator shoved up his backside whilst Harry's wife was on the telephone to the local police department claiming that Harry had assaulted her. Except I can't rely on that information, and nor should you. News has reached me on high that Harry's wife has actually decided that Prince Charles, now King Charles, is the one for her, and that they actually got married in a secret ceremony the day after Queen Elizabeth II died, and Camilla was actually bumped off in a yachting accident with an actress playing her part throughout the course of the funeral. Except you can't rely on this information. News reaches me on high that the royal family are in fact lizards inside meat suits, and that Harry's wife was actually secreted as a secret agent by the CIA to uncover that plot. But having found the truth of it as a consequence of her going around the various bedrooms and taking pictures for which she was chastised and told off, she then was forced to beat a retreat back to the United States to share her important information before she found herself being lizard food. Except you can't rely on any of this information. What we can rely upon is the fact that there will be trouble ahead. We can rely upon that fact because trouble is already occurring, because Harry is in a sustained devaluation. Because Harry's wife is a narcissist, this means that the dynamic between the two follows this course. She draws him in, she flatters him, provides him with spicy poontang. She professes to care and love for him, mirrors his likes and dislikes, makes him feel like a king. She talks about all of the things that she would like to do with him. She does some of them with him. She feigns an interest, albeit at the time she believes that it be true, with being kind to his surrounding family and some of his friends. Harry thinks, oh my goodness me, I've hit the jackpot. She understands me, she adores me, she likes everything that I like, and she roasts a mean chicken. As a consequence of that, he falls in love with her. She then embeds him as the intimate partner primary source. All is rosy in the garden. But as with any dynamic between narcissist and intimate partner primary source victim, he then enters the sustained devaluation, which he has been experiencing for a number of years. This is why there are reports of arguments. This is why she does things without him. This is why, behind closed doors, he undoubtedly gets called names. He's triangulated with people. He's frozen out. He's insulted. He's given word salads, he's given false accusations and pity plays. Why? Well, all of those things happen with a mid-range narcissist, and it won't be any different with Harry's wife. Much of it's hidden because she operates a facade, but we've seen flashes of it in public, the way that she steers him around the grip of doom. And thus, he's in sustained devaluation. There is no doubt about that, because that always, I repeat, always happens when it comes to dealing with a narcissist. He gets respite periods when everything's wonderful again. They're shagging like rabbits. She tells him she's sorry that she lost her temper. She's just been under a lot of pressure as a consequence of the racists in the royal family, and he nods and understands. And then he gets devalued again, up and down, the push and the pull, which any of you that have been involved with a narcissist will know full well, where you were the intimate partner primary source. Thereafter, their relationship is going to go one of three ways, as I've explained in parts passing. Either he escapes, she disengages from him, or neither of those two things happen, and there's a roller coaster until one of them pops their clogs. I've set out in parts passing that I saw that she would ultimately disengage from him. I also explained that it wouldn't be happening immediately. I can guarantee to you that their relationship will follow one of those three paths. Either he will get out, or she will get rid of him, or neither of those things happen, but it's not a happy union, and there'll be repeated reports of difficulties within the relationship. Ultimately, I selected, because this is the most common outcome, and for the type of narcissist that she is, that she would disengage from him at a suitable point in the not too distant future, but not immediately. That's how it will pan out, because that's how it pans out with narcissists. Those are the three options. It doesn't suddenly turn out that she finds redemption and changes her ways. That doesn't happen. It isn't the case that he suddenly realizes how to manage her and therefore never offends her sense of control and thus is never devalued again. That doesn't happen. It may well be that they will separate as a precursor to divorce, as a consequence of either him escaping or her disengaging from him. Could that have happened now? Well, it might have done, but there's no concrete evidence to support it. There's simply Lady Colin Campbell saying that she had it on high, but the information has not to be relied upon. There's also, which was posted in the Reddit thread, St. Harry's wife, something called Bark Jack Goss, where somebody on Twitter asked, somebody called Lady Hegira, Barkjack, news hot and heavy that the Sussexes have reached a separation agreement. Have you heard anything? I count on you and your sources. Barkjack replies, thank you kindly, Lada. I swatted that rumour down a lot today. We are privy to some projects they are steamrolling onward with in 20 and 23, and thus hard evidence points to the exact opposite. They'll be together for more in 2023. Now, I don't know who Barkjack is, but they seem to pronounce that with a degree of authority, which suggests that the rumour about separation is incorrect. Has mainstream news anything to say about it? Nothing whatsoever. Not a sniff. Not even reporting on what's going on in social media as a consequence of people asking, is this the case? Now, of course, what also has lent some credence to the suggestion of separation is the fact that there has been a shift as of late. What we've seen is we haven't seen them as a united front as often, but rather Harry hasn't been seen much of at all, with just apparently being locked away editing his memoirs and making the rather ill-thought-out appearance at Better Up. Meanwhile, Harry's wife has been running around, engaging in organising the pronouncement of being involved in the Power Women Summit coming up. She's been launching her archetypes, which apparently, of course, was meant to be a joint enterprise. And other than a cameo appearance talking about the hair vibe of Serena Williams in the first episode, Harry hasn't appeared whatsoever. It's been very much her vehicle. We had the Variety magazine shoot Harry not even lurking in the background in the relevant gardens. And it does appear that the portrayal as of late has been he is a whinger and a whiner, bleating about how badly he's been treated as the spare, as she seeks to reinvent herself as fun Harry's wife, fluffy Harry's wife, friendly Harry's wife. And because she's been doing these things on her own, it has lent some force to the suggestion that she's starting to create some distance between her and him, and that might be that they've already separated, and therefore she's busting a gut to get herself out there, and he is being kept in the shadows as part of a portrayal of him as actually the problem, that he's a whinging whiner, and of course through heavy projection it would not be on the realms of possibility that she would suggest that he is the abusive one in the relationship. However, this shift in appearances is, to my mind, part of the sustained devaluation, where she's cold-shouldering him. He stays at home, playing with the kids, or the invisible kids, depending on what your view is, whilst she's there front and centre. Now remember, ever since the sustained devaluation began, which is a couple of years ago at least, she has been front and centre. Look at the Time magazine cover with hairdresser Harry. The other photographs that came out of the One Young World Summit. It's her looking good, him off to the side. She's the one that's been largely making the speeches. She's the one that's been leading, steering him around. And that's what generally happens as part of the sustained devaluation. Even when they're in public and it's all smiles and shits and giggles, ultimately it's about her. More devaluation will be going on behind closed doors. And there's probably been a ramping up of the devaluing behaviour where she's doing more on her own, which perhaps gives the appearance of separation, although it's not concrete evidence of itself. The fact is, a rumour has been put out there that they have separated. That rumour has been quashed by somebody who apparently is ITK, in the know, on Twitter. Mainstream news is completely silent about it. To my mind, this was simply a rumour. And whilst one can go looking for evidence to support it, what you would be better doing is understanding the nature of the dynamic between narcissist and victim, as I've just set out for you, and that that's the route that it will go down, and then to look for the concrete evidence to demonstrate what's occurring. The concrete evidence demonstrates there is the sustained devaluation. We see that in terms of the way that she behaves towards him, and also with regard to the way that he looks. He simply isn't happy. If he wasn't being devalued, do you think he would look dishevelled, dispirited, and essentially depressed? No, he would not. And that's symptomatic of the fact that he's being devalued. So our evidence comes from, 1, the nature of the dynamic which always occurs between narcissist and intimate partner primary source. 2, the way that Harry looks these days. And 3, instances that demonstrate that devaluation is occurring in terms of her doing more things on her own. That does not prove separation, but what it does do is support the continuing sustained devaluation. Separation may well yet occur. It could be around the corner as part of either him escaping or, more likely, as her disengaging. But all of the talk so far doesn't appear to actually have anything concrete at all to support that there is a separation, other than a somewhat ill-judged, one would say, suggestion in a video which has been slapped down by somebody, according to Twitter, who is ITK, in the know. This has provided a useful opportunity to explain to you again how the dynamic works and how you should have regard to that. But also, as I repeatedly explain to all of you, when it comes to dealing with narcissists, navigating your way forward, and understanding what's best to do with regard to protecting yourself, whether it's appearing in court, explaining things to other people, or rationalising it in your mind, go to the evidence. That is the logical response, not the fanciful emotional one. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening. In the relationship. So far, the evidence that exists is a rumour that has been put out there by Lady Colin Campbell, suggesting that they have separated but the information cannot be relied upon. Certain behaviours which are consistent with a continued sustained devaluation. And no comment whatsoever in mainstream news about this being the case. I invariably always explain to you when dealing with narcissists that in order to enable you to understand what you're dealing with, to make informed decisions and avoid the presence of emotional thinking impacting upon you, is to always go to the evidence. whether it's making a presentation in court to get money back from the narcissist, whether it's dealing with a child custody case involving the narcissist. Formulate your evidence, go to the evidence and rely upon it, and that's how you get the appropriate outcome. So what is our evidence here? A rumour put forward by Lady Colin Campbell, stating that it's from reliable sources, but then saying that it ought not to be relied upon. Therefore, if one evaluates that evidence, one would do so with considerable caution. We have the evidence of what goes on in the dynamic between narcissist and victim. And the various behaviours that we have seen are commensurate with supporting the fact that sustained devaluation is ongoing. You look at Harry. There is the man who is in devaluation. You can see it writ large over his face. He's depressed, dishevelled, dispirited. There have been reports of arguments between them. He has not been seen as much of as of late. She has been doing more projects single-handedly. There is the fact, for instance, with archetypes, that he was meant to be involved at the very beginning and throughout, but hasn't. He was just there in the cameo appearance. And it's all been about her ever since. She's the one making most of the speeches, doing the interviews, and he seems to have largely disappeared. And in parts past him, I explained, where's Harry? And the only time we've really seen him has been as a consequence of his appearance at Better Up. Does that mean separation? Possibly, but not definitively. Does it mean sustained devaluation? It absolutely does. Mainstream media is silent about it, which therefore suggests that there isn't any news. But there's also another snippet of evidence that has come forward, which has located on the Reddit thread, St. Harry's wife, by a poster by the name of Second-Hand Coke, writes as follows. Okay, well, Lady C beat me to the full punch, but here are Coke's notes. 1. So I was told they filed for separation in the United Kingdom, and it was Harry who initiated the separation. I kept trying to post it yesterday, and did post that the separation scoop was coming, but clarification came late, and then I've procrastinated. So Lady C apparently beat me to the punch. Regarding the separation, she clarified this morning, however, that it was a pre-separation agreement, not an official separation yet. So that is somewhat cloudy, but doesn't confirm that there is actually any form of separation. 2. Harry has reportedly not been home in weeks and is up in the Bay Area drinking some hard Better Up Kool-Aid. In my opinion, there is something predatory about Better Up. It sounds like they are knowingly taking advantage of a mentally ill person who is more unstable and searching more for relief than he's ever been. Second-Hand Coke's observations about that may well be accurate. The fact that he's not been home in weeks, however, may well be part of the ongoing sustained devaluation. She tells him to get out, and sometimes he's staying away because it's easier to do so by keeping himself away from her ignited fury. 3. Harry's wife has a divorce attorney. But that's a given if separation litigation has been started. The attorney is purportedly female. 4. Separation or not, Harry's wife allegedly believes in her 10 sizes too small heart that Harry's book is going to vindicate her to the public and make public perception just completely shift, turning their piss-poor fortunes around. She's very upfront about this, even in internal meetings. Getting even with the royal family was as much of a motivation for her to have the book come out now than the money. Well, that doesn't seem to go to the point about separation. It's a subsidiary observation. 5. Speaking of which, finances are apparently still dire, and she thinks the book will fix that too. Well, if the book is going to fix the finances, then why would there be separation? She basically sees the book the same way she saw the Oprah interview, like it's going to put them back on the road to the top. Again, if she sees that as putting them back on the road to the top, why would you be separating? 6. Allegedly, over the funeral days, Harry went to Big Daddy Chuck for money, and at this time KC3 started Sparry's revelation that Harry's wife is a fraud by showing him some shit that really shocked him. People are saying Harry was especially disturbed by how Harry's wife deliberately tried to replicate things about his mother even before they met. I don't know how this is news to him, but it supposedly was. That, of course, if accurate, may well have encouraged Prince Harry to keep his distance from his wife. 7. The final straw for Harry is said to have been when Netflix sat them down with the manuscript of Sperry and the Crocu series, and specifically pointed out in an itemised fashion the incidences of Harry's wife completely and repeatedly contradicting herself between the book and the series. That possibly might have tipped Harry over the edge of making a decision to separate. However, more to my mind, I think it would give her more of an opportunity to utilise plausible deniability and, as narcissists invariably do, muddy the waters so it becomes unclear to him. Number 8. This one I'm not clear on, but somehow the reason everything has gone quiet about release of Netflix series is due to those inconsistencies. 9. I feel like I'm forgetting something good. 0. Whatever is going on, it's highly doubtful that their NF series is going to stream in December, and I've heard from more than one place that if it doesn't stream in December, they are going to opt out a la Pearl. So, as I understand it, Secondhand Coke is deemed to be a rather reliable poster of information. I've no evidence to contradict that being the case, but I provided you with my observations on what has been stated there, vis-à-vis the question of separation. Ultimately, what is clear is Harry is in a sustained devaluation. Separation may well occur as a consequence of him escaping or her disengaging from him. Whether that separation is ongoing at the moment remains unclear, and, as I always explain, look for the evidence to make a determination in that regard. But understanding the way that the dynamic works between a narcissist and a victim helps you make sense of what the rumours and behaviours that you see in terms of knowing where they are at in terms of the dynamic. The gushing over one another, the cooing, the hand-grabbing, the doe-eyed, seduction period, golden period. And thereafter, the rumours of arguments, the controlling behaviour, the hissy fits, the objectification, my husband, part of sustained devaluation. So we're certainly in that sustained devaluation, but where we go to next is either he escapes, which may include separation, she disengages, which may include separation, or neither of those things. Whether we are at escape or disengagement is not certain, and there's no concrete evidence to support that so far. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.